Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we will discuss the module on surface and groundwater pollution. The learning objective of these modules are surface and groundwater pollution, sources of groundwater pollution and surface water pollution, their pathways and control measure. Any undesirable change in physical, chemical or biological characteristics of the water that makes it unfit for its intended use is known as water pollution. The presence of chemicals, microorganisms, waste or sewage which make it unfit for its desired use is also known as water pollution as per UNESCO. Type of water pollution. On water resource basis, water pollution can be surface, ground and marine pollution. Based upon type of pollutants, water pollution can be fluoride pollution due to the presence of fluoride, arsenic pollution due to the presence of arsenic, thermal pollution due to the discharge of hot water. Pollutants can be contributed through natural and anthropogenic or man-made activities. Based upon the entry of pollutants in waterways, sources of water pollution can be divided into two categories: point source, pollution sources which have specific location, usually through pipes and sewer, and non-point sources. Pollution sources are diffuse and discharges pollutant over a wide area through runoff from urban and agricultural land, feedlots and construction sites. Surface water pollution, there are various categories of surface water pollution: organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, agricultural discharge, industrial effluents, waste heat from the industries, radioactive pollutants and water withdrawal. In the next slides we will discuss in details. The organic pollutants, these pollutants include oxygen demanding waste, domestic waste, animal or food processing plant waste, oil, etc. It also includes human excreta, paper, cloth, soap, detergents, waste from paper and pulp industries, tanneries, slaughterhouses, meat packaging, dairy industries, etc. Uncontrolled dumping of waste into water bodies result in depletion of dissolved oxygen and loss of self-regulatory capacities of the water. This self-purifying capacity of the water is lost and water become unfit for drinking and other uses. As the dissolved oxygen content decreases, its biological oxygen demand increases and it creates problems for the living organisms that reside inside the water. The waste from animal and humans, those are infected with pathogens, if contaminate water supply, can cause outbreak of disease and sometimes epidemics. In urban areas where household and communal toilets are more prevalent, as per World Health Organization, 2.1 billion people use toilet connected to the septic tanks and are not safely emptied or use other system that discharges raw sewage into open drains or surface water bodies and contaminate surface water bodies. The presence of coliform in Indian river indicate that the water is being contaminated with fecal material of humans, livestock, pets and other animals. In this table we can see various waterborne diseases from different sources. There are different categories of waterborne diseases. Either the first category is waterborne microbial diseases, and these diseases occur due to the exposure of pathogens consumed in the water due to human or animal fecal contamination of the water, and exposure of this water is from drinking water in the form of treated or untreated water or from the public supplies or private supplies, and various diseases that occurs from microbial contamination are cholera, typhoid, fever, viral, gastroenteritis due to norovirus. The next is waterborne chemical disease. The disease are related to ingestion of toxic substances in the water and takes place from the source of drinking water in the form of treated or untreated water or from public or municipal supplies, and the example of this is arsenocosis. Water hygiene disease. The next one, the disease whose incidence, prevalence or severity can be reduced by using safe water to improve personal and domestic hygiene. Any water used for washing or personal hygiene can cause water hygiene disease, and this disease relate to variation in water quality or related to water shortage, and the diseases that occurs with the exposure of this kind of contamination are scabies or trachoma. Next is water vector habitat disease. Disease where water vector live in or part of its life or adjacent to the water habitat due to untreated freshwater source, and the source can be river, stream, small collection of stagnant water, that is water butts, and the disease that occurs are malaria, filariasis due to mosquitoes, schistosomiasis, trypanosomiasis, tacitus fly, and the next is excreta disposal diseases that occurs due to unsanitary disposal of human waste and with the exposure of drinking water and untreated water sources, and disease are related to humans and animals waste in drinking water, disease related to direct indirect contact with the feces of the and the urine, and the disease are schistosomiasis, trachoma, ascariasis, etc. The next is water aerosol disease. The disease relates to respiratory transmission where water aerosol contain suspended pathogens enter airways from drinking or raw water source, water used in the industries, residential building, etc. And the various diseases are legionellosis, Norwalk like viral gastroenteritis, etc. The next surface water pollution is from the agricultural discharge, and they include chiefly the chemical used in fertilizer, pesticides and dissolved solid. These chemicals along with water are washed off through irrigation, rainfall, drainage, and reaches to the river, lake and other source of water bodies like streams where they disturb the natural ecosystem. Irrigated agriculture, especially in arid areas, is always vulnerable to accumulation of salt due to evapotranspiration on the cropland, and this increases the salinity of the soil that affect the crop production. The inorganic pollutants include sediments and salt, de-icing salt and acid mine drainage causes surface water pollution. Water naturally accumulate a variety of dissolved solid or salt as it passes through the soil and rocks in its way to the sea. These salts typically include sodium, calcium, magnesium, potassium, chloride, sulfate and bicarbonate that causes salinity. The effluent of various industries of both inorganic and organic pollutant are present in effluent from the beverage, tanneries, dyeing, textile, paper and pulp mills, steel industries and mining operation. These effluent contain variety of chemicals in the form of dyes, salt, oil, grease, plastic, metallic waste, suspended solid, phenol, toxin and heavy metal. Hot water as a water contribute thermal pollution in river and streams. Textile industries and tanneries impart color due to synthetic dyes, whereas paper industries wastewater is on reddish tinge due to the presence of lignin and tannin constituents. The effluent from the different industries contain heavy metal which can enter our food chain and poses the risk of cancer. This table shows various wastewater characteristics of different industries. There are a range of industries, dairy, milk processing industries, and the principal pollutant from these industries are carbohydrate, fats and proteins in the range of 1000 to 2500 milligram per liter. Meat processing industries contain suspended solids and proteins in the range of 200 to 250 milligram per liter. Poultry industries also contain suspended solids and proteins. Bacon industries also contains suspended solids and proteins as the range given. Sugar refining industries also contain suspended solid and carbohydrates. Beverages contain carbohydrate and proteins in the range of 500 to 1300 milligram per liter. Tanning industries contain suspended solid, carbohydrates, proteins and sulfides in the range of 250 to 700 milligram per liter. Electroplating industries emits lot of heavy metals in its discharge. Laundries contain suspended solid, carbohydrates, soaps and oils in the range of 800 to 1200 milligram per liter. And chemical plant, they release a suspended solid, acidity and alkalinity increasing substances in the range of 250 to 1500 milligram per liter. Radioactive material, different human activities like ore processing, nuclear weapon testing, nuclear power plants, use of isotopes in various applications are responsible for releasing different radioactive substances to the aquatic bodies and cause radioactive pollution. These radioactive materials are used in nuclear weapons, nuclear power plants, or uses as isotopes in medical industries and research applications, etc. Groundwater is thought as free from any kind of pollution and used for the drinking purpose. Once contaminated, it becomes very difficult to reclaim the contamination from natural as well as different human activities. The naturally present substances such as arsenic, chloride, fluoride, iron, manganese, sulfate, nucleotides, radionuclides in the rocks and soil can become dissolved in the groundwater and contaminate. In addition, other natural occurring substances such as decaying organic matter can move in groundwater depending upon the local conditions. This table shows the various Indian states and their groundwater pollution due to natural occurring substances as given. Arsenic, number of states affected throughout the countries are 10 and 68 districts. The contamination of fluorides in 20 states in 276 districts. The nitrate is present in 21 states and 387 districts across the country, and iron affected states are 24 and 297 districts. Various anthropogenic activities like residential, municipal, commercial, industrial and agricultural activities can affect groundwater quality. Contaminants can reach up to groundwater from the activities on the land surface such as release or spills from the stored industries waste, septic system, leaking underground petroleum storage, etc. and contaminate groundwater. In this table we can see various categories and contaminating sources. For example, agriculture, various agricultural activities like animal burial areas where dead animals are buried, irrigation sites, animal feedlot, manure spreading, fertilizer storage, pesticide storage, and leaching from these storage sites can reach to the groundwater and contaminate. Various commercial activities like repair shop, airport, jewelries, boatyard, medical institution, paint shop, etc. contaminate groundwater when water mix up with these sites and percolate. And industrial activities include petroleum production, chemical manufacture, storage pipelines, seepage lagoons, sludge sites, electroplating, etc. They also contaminate groundwater. The various residential activities like septic system, cesspool, furniture stripping, refinishing, sewer lines, household hazard products, swimming pools, etc. and other hazardous waste, landfill, recycling, reduction facilities, municipal incinerator are the chief source of groundwater pollution. Septic system, pit latrines and the septic tanks are common mode of on-site sanitation used in India, causing groundwater contamination. There is various unscientific disposal of human and animal waste found in main anthropogenic activities and lead to the contamination of the groundwater. with microorganism, nitrate and potassium. The presence of nitrate and nitrites in the groundwater is due to unscientific disposal of human waste, and it also causes the disease methanoglobemia in the newborn child. Contamination of drinking water source by sewage can occur from raw sewage overflow, septic tank, leaking of sewer lines, land application, etc. Seepage overflow into the drinking water source can cause from the ingestion of microorganism and the diseases. The various microorganisms like E. coli, Giardia, Cryptosporidium, hepatitis A and helminthes are waterborne diseases. Improper disposal of hazardous waste and landfill. Large number of municipal solid waste, landfill and many hazardous material which they contain pose a serious threat to both surrounding environment and human population. Once waste is deposited at the landfill, pollution can arise from percolation of leachate to the porous ground surface. Release and spill of stored chemicals and petroleum products. This also poses a danger of contamination to the groundwater. The petroleum product and other chemical substances are commonly stored in underground and above ground storage tanks. The underground storage tank develops a leak as a tank ages or corrodes. Its content can migrate through the soil and reaches to the groundwater. Above ground storage tank can also be problematic if spill or leak occurs and adequate barriers are not in place. Improper constructed and abandoned wells also poses the danger to the groundwater contamination. The improper constructed well can act as a conduit through contaminant can reach to the aquifer. It has been observed that some people use abandoned well to dispose of waste such as used motor oil and contaminate the groundwater supply. Poorly constructed irrigation wells. Pesticide and fertilizer applied in immediate vicinity of these wells on agricultural land can allow the contaminant to enter into the groundwater, as these pumps the water from the groundwater and the contaminants also moves toward the source. According to the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, the use of nitrogenous fertilizers in the country has augmented by more than 50% since 2000. The increasing rate of nitrogen fertilizers have directly or indirectly causing nitrate pollution and led to an imbalance to the environment and degrade groundwater quality. The mining activities are also responsible for groundwater contamination. Active and abandoned mine contribute to the groundwater pollution. The leaching of soluble minerals takes place via precipitation from the mine waste to the groundwater below, and this leaching waste often contains metals, acid, minerals and sulfides. When mixed with the water and percolate to the groundwater, it contaminates. There is also a high possibility that the contaminants will move to the aquifer system from the seepage or bottom floor of the mining quarry. The various groundwater pollution pathways depends upon physical, chemical and biological properties of the contaminants that has been released into the environment, may move within an aquifer or in similar manner as groundwater moves. These contaminants and groundwater can move quickly through fractured rock, through animal burrow, abandoned well, macrospore root system and other system of holes and cracks. The potential of contamination increases in the areas surrounding pumping wells because the water from the zone of contribution is drawn into the well from the surrounding aquifer. Effect of water pollutions. According to World Health Organization, the lack of water, sanitation and hygiene result in loss of 0.4 million lives annually in the India. The country loses 90 million days a year due to waterborne disease, with production losses and treatment cost worth rupees 6 billion. In addition, 10 million people are vulnerable to cancer from excessive arsenic, and another more than 65 million people are facing risk of fluorosis, now epidemics in 17 to 20 states. Control of water pollution. Discharge of domestic and industrial wastewater after proper treatment. Implementing strict laws. Maintaining drinking water quality and creating public awareness are various ways to control the groundwater pollution. In conclusion, we can say there is an urgent need to increase the capacity of sewage treatment plants to improve the quality of lakes, water and surface water bodies. There is also a need of capacity building to make the people aware for the effective use of water to reduce the groundwater pollution.